video game industry is going through a major shift where companies are learning the consequences of their actions. If they hire activists and they hire people who hate gamers, they are not going to get clicks on their web pages or copies of their games sold. And of course, they have overhired, thinking that their big budget games are all going to be major successes when they aren't. And now we're finding out that over 50% of the job cuts in video games are in California, and I don't think any of us are going to shed a tear over that. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, we know that the mainstream gaming industry is basically just a giant losers club. These people constantly pat themselves on the backs. That's why they have things like the Game Awards. They constantly are yes men for each other, where there's a lot of toxic positivity that goes on. And even if gamers say this game looks like trash, you should fix it before you release it, others in the industry will say, no, don't listen to those toxic, sexist, racist gamers and just release what you feel passionately about. And then we get games like Concord, which, by the way, tomorrow is the 1-year anniversary of the servers being shut down, which of course is hilarious given it only survived 2 weeks. And now that we are hearing that tons of the job cuts in the video game industry are people in California, I can't say I'm going to feel very bad, because we are talking about the main cesspool where activists pile up. We are talking about people who are not really making games for other people, right? They're not making games that people want. They are people who are making pieces of propaganda. And sure, there are bound to be some individuals at these companies that lost their jobs that were really good at them, but we're probably talking few and far between. I mean, the only game developers I'm sure in California at this point are ones working at the largest companies who have bases there, and they're probably all activists. So this is actually part of an article or discussion over on thegamebusiness.com, which was done with Amir Satvat. Now, this is somebody who we've talked about in the past because he was honored at the Game Awards as a folk hero for laid off developers, when in reality, he was just a Tencent executive who runs a glorified unemployment list. So again, the Jeff Keighlys of the industry tried to promote him as being such a good guy, such a passionate guy, such a nice guy, and then we come to find out he's not just your average gamer, he's somebody who is an exec at a company the size of freaking Tencent. Yeah, this is why we do not trust the access media. This is why we do not trust these companies. It is why we constantly are criticizing them and ultimately not giving them a lot of wiggle room. We are constantly looking over their work and scrutinizing their moves because they go and do something like this. They try to pull a quick one on us and it doesn't work. Gamers are extremely vigilant, and it's something that these companies should probably learn. But they were talking about like the state of the industry and some of their opinions and the Game Changer Award at the Game Awards for the project. And it says Satvat has collected a huge amount of information on the video games job market. He's tracked tens of thousands of applicants, covered thousands of studios, and built a network of 2,500 people who have conducted 75,000 mentoring, CV review, mock interview, and other advisory conversations. And in total, his work has helped 4,000 people find employment. But he goes on to talk about that how North America is by far the hardest hit area when it comes to job cuts, but there are parts of the world that are actually seeing growth. Over 70%, in some years 75% of the layoffs have been in North America. North America used to have 30, 35, 40% of the open roles, and that number is now down to 25%. Overall employment in the industry has actually increased since pre-COVID, but if you're in North America in a AAA studio, you're like, what are you talking about? The workforce is cut by 15 to 20%, versus if you're in a studio in Asia, you're like, what are you talking about? We've seen an increase in jobs. And there's another stat that over 50% of the cuts globally have been in California, and California AAA is like the epicenter of the difficulty. Now, I don't particularly feel very bad given the state of the AAA industry. We are seeing indies absolutely dominating right now. Repo, Schedule 1, Expedition 33, Hollow Knight, Silksong, all doing phenomenal in all games that are really better than a lot of the AAA slop that we're getting. Like, who would pick, I don't know, Concord or Flintlock the Siege of Dawn or Kill the Justice League over Expedition 33 or Silk Song? Probably nobody. And even the very small games made by teams of sometimes even one or two people, like Repo and Schedule One, while those are not the same level of quality, they are still really fun experiences that for a few bucks you can have lots of entertainment from. And with the AAA industry, these people constantly feel like if they stick to their game plan, one day it will pay off. And we're clearly proving them wrong given how many games have failed. And we are so vocal. And if these people just learn to listen to us, maybe their market would be growing. Now, the video game industry in general across the world combined is, yes, growing. I mean, in 2024, it made over $200 billion, which is absolutely insane. Though, yeah, we are seeing a drop in jobs in California. And I can't help but kind of point and laugh at the fact that these activists are now getting culled from these roles. We know that the gaming industry layoffs have continued. Supermassive games cuts highlight a broader turmoil. This was only from July, but it says in the ever shifting landscape of video game development, stability seems increasingly elusive. On July 22nd, the UK based studio Supermassive Games, renowned for atmospheric horror titles like Until Dawn and The Quarry, announced another round of layoffs, afflicting up to 36 employees. And funny enough, when we're talking about Amir Satvat, we are also talking about a guy who was just affiliated with Dreamhaven, and they also went through layoffs. We made the hard decision to reduce the size of our company with the primary impact on our publishing group. These choices are never easy. They affect talented colleagues who have played a key role in building Dreamhaven's foundation and supporting what has been an eventful year for us. And then they actually do mention they've partnered with Amir Satvat's game community to connect these people with career transition resources and mentorships. So a reason why Amir Satvat has kind of gotten so big is because there are so many layoffs, and basically he's grifting. He's able to make a couple of bucks off of these people who are losing their jobs, and he's giving them resources, and these companies are able to point them to his list of unemployment resources and potentially companies that are hiring so they feel better about themselves. But I don't think this list actually is truly like helping anybody, though. There are tons of gamers who are now pointing and laughing. We've seen the Kotakus, the Polygons, the gamers go through major layoffs. In some cases, we've seen platforms shutting down. We're hearing that these AAA studios are going through layoffs, and gamers really could care less. Oh dear, I was really looking forward to the next Uggo pronoun simulator. I'll always have him, her, them. Sucks to be them. On the bright side, McDonald's is calling for their return back in the kitchen. Worst part is they will probably never realize why that's the case. Troons and activists. Oh no, I'm so heartbroken. Whatever will I do? I don't consider Californians people. California, I LOL'd, and nothing of value was lost. So I'll definitely be keeping my eye on these statistics to see if there are any others that are released, if we get any other information. But as of right now, the activists are, being purged from the video game industry. A lot of them are losing their jobs, and while I'm sure that there are a few good apples who unfortunately have lost their jobs here, I'm sure the majority of these individuals are the very people who we have problems with when it comes to our video games now, and people who are inserting their political ideology into every product they touch. So I'm not sure if any of them are going to go on social media and complain. They'll probably be on Blue Sky crying their eyes out, but I'll keep my eye on it. Though that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.